Give it to me like.
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Today I am getting on a topic that I seen earlier from this Jedi typo or tyro, and I'm just going to react to this. I haven't made a video on my channel in a second, and I know I just been really busy trying to get myself together, get everything together in my situation and whatnot, trying to get everything going. Other than that, I've just been trying to keep my head together, do what I got to do for myself, trying to get myself back in the right thinking frame so I can actually start making content again, which is one of my New Year's resolutions that I have for this year, is for me to start getting back into content creating again and getting that same drive that I had last year when I was just dropping banger after banger, or the year before that. Alright, but we're just gonna get into this video. So the name of this video is Aztecross and Bungie are gatekeeping elitists. Second attempt. So I'm guessing he made a first one, and this is the second attempt. So let's get into it. Tell me what you think, and we're going to just get into this. And I'm just going to pause the video as it goes, give my own opinion on the matter and how I feel about everything. All right, let's go.
The changes in D2, but I've also met new people in D2, and I play with them when I can. And despite the many ups and downs, I still care about the game. Want to see it through to the end. I think like most people that have been here for a while. But there's no denying that there are some problems. Been wanting to talk about them for a while, but I'm not really a presence online, so I kind of felt it was pointless. But then Aztecross released a video on December 20th of 2023 titled "Let Me Be Elitist for Just One Moment Here." And he apparently revealed his true nature on that. I used to think he was a down-to-earth, cool guy. He just lit into people that he just felt were not on his level, and according to him, therefore don't deserve to have an opinion. I would like to think that it might have been just some frustration with people complaining, because we all know that a lot of people, not just in Destiny, but online in general, like to complain.
Pretty much like every boss in Destiny, stand in a spot to damage. I think actually Destiny has some of the best boss designs. I will admit some of them are pretty rinse and repeat, but I've yet to come across anyone that does raid encounters like Destiny. And believe me, like I'll be the first to like call out like things that Bungie like sucks ass on. If you're comparing MMO bosses with mechanics and phases, Destiny is watered down. Oh my god, dude, don't even. Hold up. I will have this fucking debate. Do you know what every... And look, this is someone who used to do extreme trials back in Final Fantasy. All right? It's dodge, immunity phase, dodge, immunity phase. Watch the AoE. All right, everybody, consolidate. Rebuff. That's literally every single one. The Planet Encounter on Root of Nightmares is great, but they deserved a better rate. Oh yeah, dude, you can't judge. Root of Nightmares was way too easy. It was way too easy, and then you could cheese Nezrak, you know? I bet you money if Nezrak could fucking pull you off that platform and pound your ass, we'd be saying something different. And look. I'm gonna sound really harsh right now and really elitist. The only people that can really sit here and talk shit about boss encounters or even raid encounters are those that actually successfully do day one raids. If you're running around in a strike or a public event, you're like, dude, this shit is just so repetitive. Bruh. Bad take. Look, if Crota sticks his balls on thy forehead over and over day one, and then you're like,
this boss encounter is just too fucking stale.
There's a get good moment. Look, I know. I'm coming off elitist, but look, that's just my opinion on it. It's like bitching about Trials matchmaking, but only playing Control, like only playing 6v6. More phases doesn't make you more knowledgeable. No, it just makes you gooder in a get good.
See, me, I kind of agree with he's saying, and this is not me riding the Aztecross train or wave or whatever you want to call it. Jedi, you have to understand, you have people that will literally go into activities and don't even read modifiers or don't even want to know how to do encounters in a raid. At least get the general idea of doing a raid, or at least a general idea of how to do a nightfall. You got people that don't want to do that. They just want to get carried through everything. And then they complain that they can't complete it because they don't know how to. People like Aztecross, channels like Aztecross, mine as well, and a couple others. Some of our content is for those new players to watch so they can understand how mechanics work. And from what he's saying is, you're complaining about a raid, but never even stepped in it. I don't agree with the day one thing, because the day one experience is only for certain people to go in there to try to get it done. I have a hard time doing it. And this is coming from a Destiny 1 veteran, and then I also played Destiny 2 at launch. And I ain't gonna lie, I jumped in some day ones. I never completed the day ones, but they was difficult. We got through one or two encounters, and then it's like, we ran out of time because, people have life. People got to do things. But what that's saying is, I agree with him. If you're going to complain about something, at least take one foot into the activity before you complain about it. That's like people that complain about trials, but they don't play it. You can't complain about an activity or complain about anything without going into it and experiencing it. You have to experience it, because if you don't experience it, what are you complaining about? You don't know what you're talking about then at that moment. That's like me complaining about macaroni and cheese, but I don't eat macaroni and cheese. That's like me complaining about outside, but I'm never outside. I'm indoors all the time, meaning 24/7. I don't even step outside. I don't even look outside. I don't even do anything that has to do with me going outside my house. I can't complain about something if I never experienced. I can't say I don't like something if I never actually had it. You know what I'm saying? At least try it before you say I don't like it. That's like me with onions. I don't like onions. I had onions, therefore I can say I don't like onions. I can straight up say I don't like onions. What he's saying is not a form of gatekeeping. At least from what this video right here, this clip, I actually went and looked up and watched and looked at, because I wanted to be sure before I actually start talking. But let's get back into this video, as you were saying.
Playing a lot, such as me here. But it just, watching that video a couple of times and the things he said and the way he said it really came across like he had been hiding his opinion of people that he felt were lower caliber players for a while, and this was just starting to shine through. The things that really stuck out to me and really found offensive was him degrading anybody that was Guardian rank 10 or lower. That apparently, unless you're Guardian rank 11, you're just a whiner and you're no good, and you need to, as he said, get good. Which I hate that argument. You're not a 12-year-old kid on a playground. You should not be telling people to get good. It's not always a skill issue. The other thing was that he said that unless you successfully complete a D1 raid, your opinion doesn't matter. And I hate to break it to him, but skill level has nothing to do with being entitled to an opinion. Basically, everybody that is paid for this game and plays this game is entitled to an opinion. He may not agree with it. Other people may not agree with it. Their opinion may be completely off the rails, but that doesn't matter. As a paying, playing customer of this game, you are entitled to an opinion.
I agree with you on that take, what you just said, that as a paying player, you are entitled to your pay. Yes, you are. But why pay for something if you never go into that activity? I always say that to a lot of the people that I play with, and especially I have a lot of casual friends. So I have friends that range from my skill level higher, and then I have friends that range from your casuals to your newbies that don't know how to even go into any activity, including like regular strikes. They have a problem playing regular strikes, patrols. It's not that. Some of those players are casual, and I agree. Casual should not be forced to play elitist style if they don't want to play it. Now, if that casual decided, you know what, I'm going to go into the hard end of the game, and I want to get better at a point where I can go into that activity and play it, by all means, use the tools that are provided to you. You can't complain if somebody gave you the tools to do this activity and you can't get into it. Now, granted, that rank 10 crap, bull crap, I disagree with it, and everybody's entitled to their opinion about that rank 10 crap. I made it to rank 10 once or twice, and that rank 10 doesn't mean a damn thing, because you can hit rank 11 and 10 and don't know a damn thing about the game and still be terrible when it comes down to do nightfalls, or terrible when it comes down to do grandmasters, or terrible when it comes down to do raids, or even terrible when it comes down to doing the in game such as trials or Iron Banner or whatever it is that you're doing. All right. With that said, yes, people are entitled to their opinion because they paid into the game. Yes, but if you're going to complain about something, at least try it. If you didn't even take one foot into it, you're complaining. You're at this point, you're whining to whine. That's literally what he's saying. If you didn't take yourself into the activity, why are you complaining? Why are you upset? What made you upset if you didn't even put your foot into it? You know, if I'm complaining about the weather outside, but I never went outside, I never even had the reason to go outside. All right, why am I complaining that it's raining outside, but I never went outside? I didn't even see it was raining. I don't even know what rain is. And I'm just, you know, it makes no sense. Logically, it makes no sense. If you're going to complain about something if you experienced it. Like if you went to a trip to Dubai, you could complain about it because you went there versus somebody like me that never been there. If I never been to Dubai, why am I complaining about Dubai if I don't know a damn thing about Dubai? The same thing if somebody went to China and I didn't go to China, and they're complaining about China because they went to and experienced it, but I complaining about it and I never experienced it at all. You can't complain about something if you never actually experienced it. What are you complaining about? That at that point you're just yelling and crying over something that you don't know anything about, and that's what he's saying. If you, I don't agree with you have to step into the day one raid to have a complaint. No, no, you can complain if you step into a raid. You stepped into the raid and you don't like how the mechanics are, or you think the mechanics in the raid was lazy, or you think how the way the ads spawn is lazy, or same thing with Grandmasters. You think that the way they put out damage is crazy, or it's just dumb. But you went in there and experienced. Yes, by all means, complain about it because you got to experience it. You can't complain about something if you never actually experienced it. That's like me complaining about somebody else's life and I never experienced anything about their life. You can't complain about something if you don't know anything about it, because then that's basically a complaint over nothing because you didn't actually get to see what it was about. That's like complaining about a game but you never played that game. That's all I got to say about that. But proceed with your opinion and what you're going to say here.
End of. That's no debating that. And him thinking that you only can have an opinion if you're an elite player is just ridiculous. But that's also, Bungie, for a company that says they don't support or don't approve of gatekeeping. I'm going to talk about several things that they have done that basically is gatekeeping. Pretty much all the changes they make to this game cater to the higher skilled players because a lot of the Bungie creators are higher skilled players. And they just seem to think that the lower tiered players don't matter. Their experience shouldn't matter. And then they wonder why they're having so much problems, and you'll see why that's an issue and why Bungie keeps having issues. But apparently they're just clueless to it. That's part of the situational blindness, which is something I'll talk about. That's basically where you're, to put it into like a layman's terms or phrase, colloquialism, it's can't see the forest for the trees. Situational blindness is I'm with this group of people, this is all I see, nothing else really matters. Like it's not there, I can't see it. And the other thing that happens a lot is anecdotal evidence when people make arguments here, which, as much as I hate to admit, a lot of the stuff I'm doing is anecdotal because there's just not a ton of research, just not a ton of data out there to get. Partly because.
All right, so I'm going to bring up gatekeeping, and I'm sorry about the little bit of noise you hear in the background. The hissing noise is my heater. So gatekeeping. Here's the definition of gatekeeping, and then we're going to get into exactly what he's talking about here. All right, the activity of controlling and unusual limiting general access to something. All right, and then it gives you an actual thing. Walmart's cultural gatekeeping has served to narrow the mainstream for entertainment offerings. All right, and then they also have it in computing terms. A function or a system that controls access or operations to files, computers, networks, or the like. A gatekeeping mechanism that allows reads under certain circumstances and blocks under others. Now, if you're talking about the content itself is gatekeeping, it's definitely not, bro. It's definitely not because the content is there. Like this season, for instance, all right, you have the coil. All right, the coil is the harder version of the other activity they added to this season. So you have the easier version for the newbies and the casual player that just want to play in. They don't want to have to worry about any kind of modifier or anything like that. They just want to casually play. And then you have the coil. That's for the harder player that just wants they want to do something but not feel bored while doing it. They want the challenge. They want to keep going and challenge themselves as they're going into this activity. Challenge their builds, get their builds together. This is something that has been rooted in Destiny for a minute now. All right. You have the easier version of something, the harder version of something. The easier version of something, the harder version of something. Now, granted, some of the mechanics, I will agree. Yes, it's a pain in the butt, but that's the harder version of that activity. So if I want to get through some of the mechanics, I just have to, as he said, get good. Figure something out that works for my build that allows me to make it from point A to point B. The point of a game is not to make it easy. It's the point of the game is to challenge. The challenge that we step up to as guardians to get through the game. That's not gatekeeping. It's giving you a challenge. If a challenge is gatekeeping, bruh, then that means school is gatekeeping you from going to college. If that's the case, then that means jobs are gatekeeping you from, get promotions. The logic behind that makes no sense. All right, because that's the same logic as saying, well, I try to do this math problem, and I'd rather have 2 plus 2 because it's easy, versus 2 times 4. I don't like that because it's kind of challenging, and it's gatekeeping me from learning math. What? What now? What? That makes no sense. The content that Bungie has put out over several years has always had an easier version and a hard version. Has always had that. They only started doing it more with the seasonal model because a lot of the seasonal stuff was extremely easy that people would just run through it like it ain't nothing and be bored. Beyond Light literally is the first time they actually added it to the seasonal model. A easier version, a harder version. And what I mean by that is the whole coil thing. The whole thing with the coil. They have the easier version with no modifiers, and then you have the harder version with all kinds of modifiers. Make you have to play a certain subclass or a certain weapon type to make sure you can meet that amount of damage, or you can be able to clear certain rounds and waves of enemies. That's not gatekeeping. That's just making a difficulty in any content. And it's the same thing for Nightfalls. You have Hero, Legend, Master, Grandmaster. Grandmaster, you're going to have some kind of build together to get you to the end goal. Now, I will say this. Some of the Nightfalls are ridiculous. I'm not even going to lie and say they aren't. They are extremely ridiculous. Especially like the Rasputin ones, the Warmind ones are ridiculous. But guess what? It's a challenge. It's not made to be super, super easy that you can just pick it up and do it in 2 seconds. Because if you can do an activity in 2 seconds, what's the point of doing it then? For crying out loud, the whole purpose of it is to get a adept weapon. They wanted to make it just as challenging as it would be going into trials and trying to get a flawless to get an adept weapon. Or going into a master raid trying to get an adept weapon. Challenging does not mean gatekeeping. Challenging meaning is challenging your mind, challenging how the way you see, how the way you take the game, how the way you play the game, your game experience. It makes it more fun Because when you start getting into challenging content, now you actually have to figure out how to get through the content. That's not gatekeeping, bro. Gatekeeping is purposely blocking the player out. Gatekeeping would be Bungie's seasonal season pass. If you want to talk about gatekeeping, now that's gatekeeping. A free to play player plays the game, has no access to anything at all, other than a couple of patrols, maybe a little bit of strikes, 1 or 2 strikes here and there, and then PvP. But they have no access to anything else until they buy that seasonal pass for that season, for that expansion. Meaning they don't get none of the new guns, they don't get none of the new ornaments, they don't get none of that new stuff without opening their wallet. That's gatekeeping because they're gatekeeping it behind a money wall. That's gatekeeping. Blocking something and making it a problem so that way they can sell you the solution. That's gatekeeping. But when it comes down to the actual content, and I'm talking about the person that bought the season pass expansion and everything with it, doing the content on whatever difficulty it is not a form of gatekeeping. And your rant about the exotics and you can't get into the end game without the exotics, and bruh, you can. There's builds that I've seen people with builds that wasn't even using exotics. Exotics adds that extra cherry on top to make your build even better. You can run builds without exotics. I played against Trials players in PvP that had no exotics on at all, including weapons. And they had a build. They didn't use not one weapon. They didn't use not one exotic weapon or armor piece. I've seen people do it in Grandmasters. Didn't use not one bit of exotic. They only use legendary armor pieces and legendary weapons. And it's just crazy because I'm just listening. And then I decided, you know what? I'm going to watch the video through. So I watched the entire video all the way through. 20 minutes, 21 minutes or so of your video. And it was just nothing but bashing Aztecross, bashing Bungie. Yes, Bungie, I would say Bungie has messed up in the long run for a lot of things. But when it came down to the difficulty of certain content and certain access to certain things, they did not. See, the Battle Pass thing? Maybe. Or the seasonal thing of it? Maybe. But when it comes down to giving you that content that you can actually go into, like Grandmasters and doing raids and things like that, and dungeons, no, they did not mess up. That's not gatekeeping. That's just making it a challenging thing. And complaining about the whole thing with you is complaining about the lost sectors and not all players can go in there. Bruh, why you think content creators exist? Why you think websites like GG and DestinyTrialsKD.com and what else? Gunsmith exist? Why do you think those websites exist? They don't just exist, for your top tier players. They exist for the entire community, so that way the community can understand, all right, so let me go see what the Nightfall is, or let me go see what the Lost Sector is, and what is the modifiers. Without you have to worry about going on to the game, it'll tell you, it shows you the exact, on Light GG, it shows you the weapon that matches the champions. They show the weapons, a decent loadout, and then they also show a recommended loadout where you can actually go and literally put this loadout together to go into these lost sectors to do them. Not only that though, you have YouTubers that literally explain on how to do it, to do the content. They literally make 10, 15-minute videos like myself explaining how to get into a Legend Lost sector, how to do it, what enemy to target first, how they build work, how to utilize a build, what do they use, the weapon types, how the weapons work, and they do the same thing for, you have Rick Cactus, Aztecross, not Frostball, because Frostball don't do many of PvE stuff. He does, but he doesn't do content for PvE. You have Frostball, you have Fallout Plays, you have Aztecross, you have myself, you have so many others that are giving you guys the content so that way you guys can understand on how to do these lost sectors. And if it's not the lost sectors, alright, because I've seen the other complaint, well, there's no way to get it. They also made it that you can focus farm them through Banshee. Not Banshee, through the Cryptarch. You can focus farm your exotics. Not only that though, because the complaint is, I can't get the exotics. They make the exotics hard to get. The exotics are so easy to get. You'll get them almost after every damn thing you do. Whether it's from the core activity, all right, the ritual activity, all right, whether it's Crucible doing control, doing comp, doing regular nightfalls, doing legend nightfalls, doing Gambit, doing the ritual, which would be Coil. The Coil gives you exotics at the end. If you collect all the chests and reach up to 100, I believe 135,000, 140,000 points, there's enough time to get through it, to reach it. All right, before that, I hear that's the argument. All right, you go to the end, there's a chance of the chest dropping you an exotic that you don't have. I got an exotic that you can go into the Lost Sector to farm out of there, and I never had it before. And then not even talking about the gunsmith. The gunsmith, literally, you go to the gunsmith. If you have exotic engrams on you, and you have ascended shard, ascended prisms, or whatever the hell they're called. All right, you have those two resources with enough legendary shards and enough glimmer. You can go right on, not the first page, but if you go into the exotic page where you can focus farm stuff, you can either focus farm it individually, or you can focus farm it based off of the season or the year it came from. So I don't want to hear that as an excuse. Bungie has been making things a little bit more easier for players to acquire certain things, especially exotics. Then that's not even the worst part, all right? So let's ignore all that. Bungie also made it that we have a black market deal that comes every Friday at reset. All right, Zer. All right, that shows up. Has one exotic weapon. All right, 3 exotic armor pieces that you can choose from. And if you're not satisfied with that, guess what? You can buy an exotic engram from him. All right, and then you have another chance to buy another exotic engram from him with the cipher. All right, and now I'm gonna get into the easy nitty gritty stuff. All right, they also have. It's hard for me to get red border weapons. Okay, don't worry about it. We got you. They put it in the season pass. All right, they put it in the season pass. Well, all right, I get. I guess you can call the season pass gatekeeping. All right, because you have to buy it. All right. You have to buy it, so you bought it for $10. All right. They have things on that season pass that allows you to focus red borders of certain weapons, whether it's raid weapons or it's the content weapons from that season or previous seasons that are also craftable weapons. So I just don't want to hear that, Bungie's gatekeeping with content. They have multiple times given us content where it was dry. You acting like this is like the Osiris DLC, the Curse of Osiris DLC. Now that was awful content. There was nothing there for us to do. Once we did the little bit of the story, it literally was nothing but, all right, you have to go grab this material. Go get that resources. Go get that resources. Come back to Brother Vance. Oh, all right, go get more resources. Go over here, kill this guy. Go over here, kill that guy. Go back in the portal. You have to wait every 4 hours to kill this one guy, so that way you can get the cipher for this weapon. Then run back to Brother Vance so he can give you a weapon with not random rolls. All right, a set roll weapon. All right, it's nothing like that. And what Aztecross was saying in this video, I don't disagree with him. I don't disagree with him. And you even went on to talk about, like, he was talking down, if you're rank 10 and under, you can't do the content and blah, 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 you're terrible. One, my guy, from what I looked at and the snippet I played from what you were saying that he was saying, he didn't even say any of that. He explained the differences between Final Fantasy grinding, all right, to Destiny grinding, raid wise. The only thing I truly disagree with him is you don't have to have a day one clear to be able to complain on a raid. At least step in the raid. You have every right to complain the moment you step in the raid and you try to do it multiple times. You have every right to complain. But complaining over nothing, complaining over spilled milk even when you didn't spill milk makes no sense. How are you complaining over spilled milk but you have no milk to spill? That's what the whole thing was. And then you spend 21 minutes talking about a guy and a whole company gatekeeping and then explaining how they're gatekeeping. And then the thing that got me even more, like, I'm like, maybe he's getting somewhere with this. Maybe he has some point to this. And this is me not bashing you. But I'm just thinking, like, all right, maybe he, I'm just rubbing my temple, like, hopefully, maybe he has a point. And then you go and look up the population numbers for Destiny. And then don't read them right either. Like, you talked about how we have 40 point something million people on the game. That's not even the number we have. That's the number of profiles that is on the server. That includes people that got banned. That also includes people that made dummy accounts. That also people that was hacking with multiple accounts. They had multiple accounts to hack with that got banned. So come on, bro. And I do agree when an elitist is being toxic, I will call him out in a heartbeat. Such as Salt Greg Popo. When he complained about Divinity, and his whole argument for Divinity wasn't even trying to make the game better. It was that he didn't want to feel like that he had to fight for World's First. That he felt teams had it easy because they was using Divinity. He said Divinity, quote unquote, made day ones easy. Maybe for you. That was my opinion on it. I made a whole video talking about it. Maybe for him it was easy. Not everybody has an elitist fire team. Not everybody has people that has time to put 100 hours plus on one game without have to worry about financial gains or anything like that. Not everybody has that opportunity. So he complained, and Bungie changed it based off of his complaint. And I seen another one where he was complaining, saying that Weller Radiance was overpowered, that it needs to get nerfed. And I'm hoping down the road Bungie does not touch Weller Radiance. Weller Radiance does not need to be touched. It needs to stay exactly where it is at. If anything, they want the new Solar subclass to stand out. Bring it up to the level of Weller Radiance. Don't nerf Weller Radiance down to the ground, because Weller Radiance is a passive super. It's something that gives you a debuff. You don't get that debuff standing outside the well. You get it within the well. And for most bosses, you're going to want to have a Well of Radiance, a.k.a. Netherrack. Is a fine example of that. Netherrack, Rook. What else? Netherrack, Rook, Crota. The Well of Radiance comes in handy for those boss encounters during those raids. Alright, I'm done ranting, but it's just like, bro, like, you sat here and complained for 20 minutes straight, and you didn't even prove your argument. Like, you just complained about something, then brought up a fake pretenses of gatekeeping, not knowing what gatekeeping is. If you're gonna say they're gatekeeping, prove it. Show me your homework. Show me your receipts. Bungie has not gatekeep other than you can argue the seasonal. The seasonal thing if you didn't buy the expansion. I can agree with that. That's something I can agree on. But when it comes down to anything else, alright, the content is not gatekeep. Like, you can go into the content, literally, you can literally go into the content. The moment you make it to 1800, you can go to you can go to any content. It will give you a warning telling you, hey, this content may be a little too hard for you. It will even tell you, light level must be this to go into this content, aka Grandmasters. Grandmasters will stop you from going in if you're not above 1820, which is very easy to get past 1820. Very easy. Do bounties. Get your full light level to 1810. You're doing a bunch of bounties with your light level to 1810. Guess what? You're 1820. You're 1821 or something like that, because it's so easy to level up your artifact. It's so easy to get those artifact levels. It's not even funny. Real easy by just doing a bunch of bounties or doing activities. Alright, guys, like this kind of content, please comment down below. Tell me what you think. And Jedi, if you're watching this is not me throwing shots at you. This is just me pointing out stuff that it made no sense. If you're gonna go at somebody that has a bigger name or anything like that, bring homework. And this was just a rant. You were just ranting about nothing. That's what it was. And to me, it felt more clickbait than anything else because it was just a rant. It was not none of it, as you were saying, was true, other than you were speculating and you was in your feelings about it. All right, guys, peace.
Give it to me like